Hello and welcome to our next important step in our journey through Twelfth Night. Thank you if you've been listening to every video so far. We are almost there. Act 4. Act 4, Scene 2 is where we're going. And it's going to be a catch up with Malvolio soon. Anyway, not at this bit. So we got Mariah and the Fool. So here's another wheeze they come up with, or particularly Maria. I prithee put on this gown and this beard, making believe thou art Sir Topaz the curate. Do it quickly, I'll call Sir Toby the whilst. So he's going to pose as a priest, basically. Well, I'll put it on, I will dissemble myself in it, and I were the first that ever dissembled in such a gown. This is a Shakespearean pun, so the idea of it is putting on the gown, but he's drawing on the double meaning of the word here. But the idea of him being dissembling would mean the idea of being deceitful, and contextualising it, of course, the prevailing popular culture of Shakespearean England of the time would be to be critical of Catholicism. So a priest would be Catholic, and Shakespeare can set his plays in other countries, and it allows him to have characters doing things that wouldn't get through the censors if it was set in England with Protestant characters in that era. The censorship was actually very strict. But that's another story. So Toby is coming in as well, and we have the Fool in disguise. Buenos dias, Sir Toby. So he is now adopting a new persona. So again, themes of performance in this play as well. We've seen that many times. We have Feste now performing the role of a priest, of Sir Topaz. And this is all to trick Malvolio. The knave counterfeits well a good knave. That's a bit of a paradox there, isn't it? A good knave, because a knave is a rogue, so a good knave technically doesn't really make sense in theory. But again, bending and breaking rules is the name of the game, particularly when you're a writer like Shakespeare. So again, this is a great scene for talking about perceptions of reality, because Malvolio is locked up, he's imprisoned, and he perceives Feste as Sir Topaz. So he's doing this impression here. So Topaz the curate, who comes to visit Malvolio the lunatic. Notable about labels here as well. Topaz the curate, so this is asserting a reality. So Topaz the curate. Malvolio the lunatic, so imposing a reality on Malvolio. He's perceived as a lunatic. Malvolio's love without context looks like madness. Sir Topaz, good Sir Topaz, go to my lady. Out, hyperbolical fiend. How vexest thou this man? Talkest thou nothing but of ladies? So this comes from the cultural context of thinking that Malvolio is possessed by the devil. Well said, Master Parson. So Toby presumably can't be heard by Malvolio, because it's an aside there as well, it says. But Shakespeare wouldn't have written that in. Sir Topaz, never was man thus wrong. Good Sir Topaz, do not think I am mad. They have laid me here in hideous darkness. So what we call in modern terms gaslighting in many ways here again. I've used the term before. Best not write it in an assignment or in an essay, in an exam. But I would instead talk about how it's deliberately deceitful and asserting false realities and deception. I would use terms like that, basically. Sayest that this house is dark as hell, Sir Topaz. Why, it hath bay windows, transparent as barricadoes, and the clerestories toward the south north are as lustrous as ebony. So he's saying, you're not in a horrible prison, you're in a beautiful room. But it's a prison, he is imprisoned, he's locked up, it's not actually, it's the way it is. So it's this deliberate deception and redefining of reality. I am not mad, Sir Topaz. I say to you, this house is dark. Madman, thou errest. Again, labelling. So by using this, let's say, appellation, of giving this name of madman, so this term of address. Madman, thou errest. I say there is no darkness but ignorance, in which thou art more puzzled than the Egyptians in their fog. I say this house is as dark as ignorance, though ignorance were as dark as hell. And I say there was never man thus abused. I am no more mad than you are. Make the trial of it in any constant question, saying, again, it's about this perceptions of reality and this artificial reality that's being constructed around Malvolio. What is the opinion of Pythagoras concerning wildfowl? That the soul of our grandam might happily inhabit a bird. So saying, what does Pythagoras think? wildfowl. The idea is, so this is really the idea of reincarnation. What thinkst thou of his opinion? I think nobly of the soul, no way approve his opinion. Now look how clear Malvolio's answer is there. Like say, no, I don't agree with this. Fare thee well, remain thou still in darkness. Thou shalt hold the opinion of Pythagoras, ere I will allow of thy wits, and fear to kill a woodcock, lest thou dispossess the soul of thy grandam. It's gaslighting, isn't it? Again, I wouldn't use the term. It's too colloquial to write in an essay, but again, just completely ignoring Malvolio's assertion there. Saying, oh, you do believe it then? What? No. Really clever thing Shakespeare's doing in this scene is that compare this scene to your feelings about Malvolio when he was first introduced in the play. You think about how pompous he is. He was framed as a killjoy, wasn't he? He was described as a kind of Puritan. And he was made a laughing stock. We've laughed at him. Are we laughing at him now? So no, Shakespeare, again, there's loads of inversions in this play. You know, things are being flipped round. Look at it here. Do you feel sorry for Malvolio? Do you feel pathos for Malvolio? I think you do. I think everyone feels like this joke has gone too far. He's suffering. And this is built on even more in Act 5, of course, as well. Thou mightst have done this without thy beard and gown. He sees thee not. So you didn't actually need to dress up in disguise because he didn't even see you. But this is actually another little meta-type joke, isn't it? Because it's for the benefit of the audience. So the artificial. So in some way, Shakespeare is again this time more subtly than the improbable fiction line of Fabian earlier on in the play, but the idea of acknowledging the artificiality of theatre, but more subtle this time as well. So they decide to taunt Malvolio now as the fool. He comes back in his real persona. So he's singing a song about a robin. God's favourite bird, apparently, robins. Or Batman character. No, I'm being silly, sorry. I keep focused. So Malvolio thinks he's talking to Feste, and he wants to give me candle, pen, ink and paper. As a gentleman, I will live to be thankful to thee for it. So he wants to write a letter to Olivia to explain everything. Alas, how fell you besides your 5 wits? Fool, there was never man so notoriously abused. I am as well in my wits, fool, as thou art, but as well, then you are mad indeed if you be no better in your wits than the fools. So now, as Malvolio thought he was somebody who was above the fool, remember that he put him down. He wanted Olivia to get rid of him, to dismiss him, but now he's saying, I'm just as sane as you are. So, well, okay, if you're comparing yourself to me, then you must be mad. But ironic, and again, Shakespeare flipping these social structures. So I actually look at that, leave thy vain bibble babble. You can guess what that means. That's like talking nonsense. Then Feste again. This is Shakespeare playing with perceptions of reality. Feste has a conversation with himself as Sir Topaz, which obviously Malvolio perceives as a real conversation between the two people. And it's another way of asserting the false reality that was created within this scene. It's all very clever stuff. Good fool, help me to some light and some paper. And then we have, I will set down to my lady, it shall advantage thee more than ever the bearing of letter did. And this is ironic, of course, because of the letter that Malvolio received that's ultimately ending up in this situation. So then the fool sings a little song at the end, like a mad lad. I always like that bit. And that's it, really. That's it for that scene. But interesting for thinking about your changing feelings about Malvolio. Now you've got this pathos for him. Anyway, thank you for listening. Tune into the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, other videos, etc., etc., etc. Have a good day or night, whatever you're doing. Thank you and goodbye.